In the global community, Japan is often seen as peaceful, polished, and remarkably orderly. It's a country where systems work, where rules are followed, and where politeness is practically institutionalized. But beneath this quiet elegance lies something more elusive, and far less inviting. Few nations appear as quietly inhospitable to outsiders as Japan, not through conflict, but through calculated indifference. Its xenophobia is not loud, it is measured, codified, and hidden beneath layers of ceremonial grace, cultural preservation, and an enduring fear of difference. While Japan presents a surface of refined etiquette and meticulous order, its deeper cultural fabric is shaped by a historical aversion to foreignness, polite yet persistently guarded. During the medieval period, called Edo era, from 1603 to 1868, Japan operated under sakoku, or the closed country policy. For over 250 years, foreign contact was almost completely banned. The result? An isolationist mindset that still shapes attitudes today. Even after the Meiji Restoration, when Japan modernized and opened to the world, it emphasized nationalism, racial purity, and the ideology of Nihonjinron, the belief that Japanese people are culturally and even genetically unique. Outsiders, forever separate. Even today, a lot of people still see Japan as a monoethnic nation, even though, honestly, that's just not accurate. The Ainu, Okinawans, Zainichi Koreans, and Nikkei Brazilians all have really long histories here. And in more recent years, thousands of Southeast Asians, Africans, and Chinese have come to help support Japan's aging society. But their presence is often met with silence, suspicion, or quiet rejection. The numbers, honestly, speak for themselves. Only 23% of Japanese people believe diversity improves a nation, the lowest among major developed countries. And 34% of foreign residents say they've faced discrimination in housing, jobs, or just in daily life. So why is that? Well, Japan's immigration policies are honestly some of the most restricted in the developed world. There are new visa programs like the so-called specified skilled worker, but they really treat foreigners as disposable labor, not as future citizens. And maybe most importantly, Japan doesn't have any real anti-discrimination laws in the private sector. Even the media fuels this climate. Foreigners are portrayed as comic relief or threats. Online hate speech is rampant on sites like 2channel or Twitter Japan, especially targeting Koreans, Chinese, Muslims, and Black people. In cities like Tokyo and Osaka, attitudes are slowly evolving, but in rural Japan, xenophobia remains more deeply rooted, tied to nostalgia, an aging population, and fear of crime. At work, even skilled professionals from abroad report being excluded, underpaid, or tokenized. And compared to countries like Germany or the United States, where multiculturalism, however imperfect, is at least part of the national dialogue, Japan remains far behind when it comes to true integration. There is no real effort to include foreigners as equal members of society. Naturalization is rare, long-term residency doesn't guarantee belonging, and access to opportunity often stops where your ancestry begins. Japan still clings to the illusion of cultural purity, a belief that its identity must be preserved by excluding difference, not embracing it. But purity, when wielded as policy, becomes something else entirely, a justification for silence, for separation, and for keeping the foreign forever foreign, underscore. What you're about to hear is not my voice. For the next few minutes, I want you to hear someone else, a close friend of mine from Australia. She too came to Japan with open arms and bright hopes. But what she found was silence, walls, and 1,000 invisible cuts. This is her confession, raw, personal, and unfiltered. So listen carefully, because in her voice you might just hear the truth Japan still struggles to admit.
You'll know it didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened in a system built not to include, but to isolate. I remember the first time I truly felt it, not just the politeness, the smile, but the wall. It was my 3rd week in Japan. I'd gone to look for an apartment. I'd brought documents, pay slips, references, everything. The agent bowed. He smiled. And then he said it. "Sorry, this building doesn't allow foreigners." He said it like he was reading the weather. Neutral, practiced, unbothered. I walked out into the Tokyo sun and honestly felt like I didn't exist. Over the next 2 years, I was rejected from 19 properties. 19. Not because of money, not because of behavior, just because my name wasn't Japanese. I learned the code words. "We'll contact you later" meant no. "It's under review" meant don't call again. "Your profile doesn't match" meant foreigner. At work, it was no better. I taught English at a respected language school. My reviews were glowing. My students adored me. But when a Japanese teacher with less experience arrived, he got the promotion I was promised. When I asked why, they simply said, "He understands the culture better." And then there were the police. I've been stopped 6 times in 2 years, always the same ID check. "Where are you going?" One time I asked a young officer why. He said, "There's been some suspicious activity lately. I was walking home from the gym." Even when I tried to blend in, perfect language, flawless manners, I was still reminded. On the train, people avoided the seat next to me. In stores, I was followed. Online, strangers called me a parasite, a problem. And the hardest part? It's not always overt. Japan doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It erases. You start to question yourself. Am I being dramatic? Am I the problem? That's the real violence, the gaslight, the quiet corrosion of your sense of self, the soft denial of your humanity. My friend Ava, a Brazilian nurse, worked night shifts at a Tokyo hospital. When a patient complained about her accent, she was transferred to another ward. No warning, no apology, just moved. They say Japan is peaceful, and yes, it is. But there's a kind of peace that's built on exclusion, on harmony enforced by silence. If no one raises their voice, the system stays clean, untouched, polite. And if you do raise your voice, you're the disruption. I've given Japan nearly a decade of my life. I've loved it deeply. But every time I think I belong, the country reminds me I was never invited to stay, only to observe, to contribute quietly, to disappear without fuss.
You've just heard her story. Raw, painful, and honest. Japan may stand tall as an economic powerhouse, but economic success alone does not define a truly advanced society. Because in the end, it's not the skyscrapers or the trains that matter most. It's how a nation treats those who live at its margins. And in that, Japan still falters. For all its precision and grace, Japan struggles to accept those who do not fit a narrow mold of sameness. Foreigners are welcomed when silent, applauded when invisible, and tolerated only if they never ask for more. So the question remains, what does it truly mean to be a developed country? If empathy, inclusion, and human dignity are left behind, stay sharp, stay aware, and if this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.